How we doing, folks? Meteorologist Steve Federo here. The cold front is knocking down the door as we speak, and in true thunderstorm fashion, we've got some severe weather to talk about. A severe thunderstorm warning is issued through 3 o'clock for pretty much a good portion of the south side. Norfolk, Portsmouth, northern parts of Virginia Beach, Hampton, parts of the peninsula, southern parts of Newport News, and also including up towards Cape Charles and Northampton County. This orange box here, kind of awkward in shape, is where we're expecting wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. So that could cause some issues with some trees coming down, maybe some tree branches, power lines as well. You actually kind of see it here on the radar. See this outflow here, that line coming down from the north. That is the cold front. That's the northerly breeze crashing down, and that is producing what we could see as 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Not seeing that much in the way of lightning, so that's good. If we do see lightning, that would mean a thunderstorm is intensifying. This northerly breeze is actually a little bit cooler, so then it's kind of cutting off the threat of any lightning. But again, it's the heavy rain and the wind going to be the concern with this severe thunderstorm warning up until about 3 o'clock. We'll hang with you for the next 20 to 30 minutes to get you through this, because it is and has been coming down with this cold front marching through. So we've got really the isolated spots of wind and potential for wind damage. That was our one concern. The also main concern with this front has been potential for any sort of flooding. Up to the north in Williamsburg, where there has been about 1 to 2 inches of rain, there could be an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain. So there's an aerial flood advisory, pretty much this pocket through Williamsburg, James City County, far northern parts of Newport News, kind of right along 64 here. Low-lying areas could have a tough time draining. Going to see some water build up, maybe some street flooding in addition to that. So we're going to deal with not only maybe those isolated spots of wind, potential wind damage, but again, the flooding as a concern. Back to the thunderstorm warning. Again, we're watching that crashing, the cold air come down behind the cold front. It's kind of passing right over HRBT, CRBT now, the bridges, and moving into northern parts of Norfolk and Portsmouth. So really the worst of this thunderstorm has yet to arrive for Norfolk, Portsmouth, parts of Chesapeake and Suffolk. Even still, though, there's solid rain coming down in parts of Suffolk and Chesapeake as well. Some of these showers have been developing ahead of the main line with the front, which again is what is producing the wind potentially upwards of 60 miles an hour. That, of course, can cause some issues too. So if you got any plans to be out and about driving around over the next 30 minutes to an hour, maybe just hang tight and just hang inside for a little bit and let this, really the bulk of the stronger stuff pass by for you. Up towards Cape Charles and the southern parts of the eastern shore, really that's Northampton County up there. We're seeing some heavy rain at times and maybe some wind picking upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour. That's pretty much as this thunderstorm crosses the Chesapeake. As it does that, it really could pick up some energy and amplification, so to speak, and maybe get a little bit stronger. So there was that one strong thunderstorm move through the eastern shore. It was right on the fringes of severe, and now we're dealing with one that is on the fringes of severe. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning going to about 3 p.m. for parts of the eastern shore, northern parts of Virginia Beach, pretty much the heart of Virginia Beach, right up and down 264 into downtown Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Hampton as well. That's where the severe thunderstorm warning is issued for. The strongest part of the storm looks to be moving out of Hampton and parts of the peninsula in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So you'll likely see things improve first before then the winds really do start to crank and pick up for downtown Norfolk, Portsmouth, parts of northern Chesapeake, and then northern Virginia Beach. So we got the wind associated with it. We're also going to talk about the potential for flooding. Again, we'll go back to this where there has been 1 to 2 inches of rain in Williamsburg, James City County, far northern parts of Newport News here, York County as well. Kind of just right up and down 64 there, where there could be some water building up on the low-lying areas, some street flooding in spots. So that's something we'll also have to watch for. Really, that's actually going to be the bigger concern with this cold front outside of any of the damaging wind as well. Picked up a lot of rain so far. These pockets of yellow here, that's upwards of 1 to 2 inches of rain. And you got to remember, we picked up 1 to 2 inches of rain in spots from Tropical Storm Claudette on Monday. So the ground is pretty soaked. Our tomato plants are enjoying it, but our ground not so much. It's having a tough time draining all of this water. So we'll have to keep the threat of some low-lying areas flooding, street flooding alive over the next couple of hours or so. We've got the rain through about 5, 6 o'clock. That's when things are going to cut off, when this front moves right on offshore. So we do expect things to drastically improve after that evening commute. So really just the next couple of hours, we just got to buckle up, enjoy some of the thunder and lightning safely from the comforts of our living room. And again, when we're in these situations where wind is the main threat with some of these thunderstorms, we're talking about the potential for damaging wind, 50, 60 miles an hour. Best spot to be inside, away from the windows, centermost spot of your home, and just enjoy it from the comfort of your living room. Not the time to be out and about driving around doing any sort of errands. Because one, of course, potential for wind damage, knocking things over and stuff like that, but also with all this rain, maybe some larger than large puddles out there that could be causing some issues on the roadways. Remember, if you come across any of that, do not drive through any water that is standing on the roadways or moving on the roadways. Can cause some issues with your cars. And really only a few inches of water on the roadway can cause some issues. Future track takes us the rain through 3 o'clock. This is pretty much that spot of that severe thunderstorm we're watching through 3 p.m. That's going to take us over the next 20 minutes. And then we go to about 4 or 5 o'clock. We're still dealing with some heavy rain at times. It should really start to then be introduced toward parts of northeastern North Carolina and the northern Outer Banks. And then we progress towards 6, 7. Things start to settle on down. And then we're just kind of left with some residual rain. So it's really just the leading edge of the front, which is what we're dealing with now, that is really prompting this severe thunderstorm warning. And that severe thunderstorm warning, again, is going to 3 p.m. From the National Weather Service through with the threat of wind damage upwards of 60 miles an hour, which, of course, can cause some issues. So I'm going to go back to that severe thunderstorm warning, pull this up on the radar, hopping back over here to the Weather Center. We'll put a little storm tracker on it for you guys to get some better ideas of where things are going. City of Poquoson and Isle of Wight was once included in this severe thunderstorm warning. You are no longer in that severe thunderstorm warning. It has really just continued for the parts of Chesapeake, northern parts of Chesapeake, City of Hampton, Newport News, Norfolk, Portsmouth, parts of Suffolk, and then parts of Virginia Beach, and then Northampton up in the eastern shore. So this thing's moving pretty quickly, and a lot of these thunderstorms and showers that we've been dealing with today have been moving almost like 40 miles an hour. That's not slow. That's pretty fast. So these things racing by, which is part of the reason why they're capable of producing damaging winds. So that's going to be our threat with this one thunderstorm. So here we go. It's actually moving at 45 miles an hour. So I'll put a little storm track on this for you guys. We'll give you an updated query of times of where this thing may march to. This is kind of just a little better idea. Like, give you guys some timestamps on it. So again, it's that leading edge right there of what I drew. That's that cold air coming down with the cold front. So we're looking at parts of Portsmouth. If it's not on your doorstep now, we're looking closer to about 245-ish, 250. Kempsville, 255. Acredale, about 257. The ocean front closer to about 3 o'clock, and that's actually when this warning goes to. So Virginia Beach, the ocean front area, out towards, let's see, Croatan, northern parts of Dam Neck, closer to about 3 o'clock or so. So that's a little timestamp on it for you guys. The thunderstorm here, capable of producing wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. So that is our main concern with this one thunderstorm. And again, this is the leading edge we're watching right here. You see that line, that contrast between the green and the red, the greens and the orange. That is that cold air behind the front coming in from the north. The good news about that is that it's shutting off any of the lightning. The bad news is, of course, it's producing a severe thunderstorm, one that is capable of producing wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. So we're getting a storm report from York County. We got around 2:30 this afternoon, so about, 10 minutes ago, got a couple trees downed along Ballard Street. So we are seeing some confirmation of trees coming down with this one thunderstorm, so that's something we're going to have to keep in mind and watch for. So if you are fortunate enough to be inside right now, stay inside for at least the next half hour as this thunderstorm passes by. And if you got any errands or things to do, hold them off, as this thing is going to move down pretty quickly. We'll go back up to where that flood warning or flood advisory was. This is just some minor street flooding of low-lying areas. Parts of Williamsburg, James City County, up and down kind of I-64 there on the peninsula, kind of right along the river too. Those low-lying areas going to see some water build up as we got rainfall of 1 to 2 inches already, and then maybe an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain expected. Again, that's that green box right here. You see that right here stretching up through Williamsburg. That is an aerial flood advisory. Aerial meaning just that area is dealing with some minor street flooding, some low-lying area, things like that. So really the main concern with this cold front has been the flooding. While this isn't a surprise, we have talked about the threat for some isolated damaging wind gusts. It's just kind of right on par for the course that it would happen right in the heart of the Hampton Roads area, right for northern parts of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Portsmouth. So let's just zoom right on in. I'm going to put this on pause to show you where the heavy rain is coming in. Kind of right through, it's into Bayview Beach now. Not in the heart of Norfolk yet, but along kind of the main base, the military base up there. I mean, it's coming down there now. So the ships and docks there, they're getting likely rocked by the downpour now into Portsmouth as well, getting some of the heavy rain as it's marching in from the north. Again, this is the severe thunderstorm warning. This awkward orange-shaped box here is going to 3 p.m. That's our severe thunderstorm warning. And when we put it in motion, what we're watching is this line. You can kind of track it with the arrow here. See how it kind of comes down from the north? That's the flow of the cooler air behind the front that is producing some wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. And then we have been getting a couple confirmed reports of some wind gusts of 45 miles an hour, so 40-knot wind up near Accomack. That's on the eastern shore. And near Matthews County, that's further north on the peninsula, getting some wind gusts over upwards of 40 miles an hour or so. So right on the fringes of some severe caliber, so to speak. That was to the north earlier this afternoon. Now we're getting some confirmation of things being a little bit stronger. We have seen confirmation on the peninsula from this thunderstorm of some trees coming down. So that is the why we're staying on air with you guys, because this thunderstorm is capable of producing some damage, maybe bringing some trees down, maybe some power lines, things like that. So we'll pause it, put another storm track on, and give you guys a better idea of what you can expect making into your neighborhood. It's moving into downtown Norfolk, really Portsmouth getting all of this right now as we speak, but it'll eventually march its way into northern parts of Virginia Beach within the next 15 minutes. This is moving fast as well. It's moving at 45 miles an hour. Here's just a quick little storm track for you. Portsmouth, I mean, it's on your doorstep now. We're looking at Kempsville closer to 252. We're looking at Great Bridge around 257. That's parts of Chesapeake. Looking at Lanston closer to about 3 o'clock, and the oceanfront as well, closer to about 3 o'clock or so. So that's that storm track for you. And again, you may be looking, it's already raining right now in Virginia Beach. It's already pouring along 264 and Great Bridge, parts of Greenbrier around 64. But what is producing the thunderstorm, what is making the thunderstorm upwards or making it severe is this line right here, which is coming right into Norfolk. That is the leading edge of the severe thunderstorm. That's why the National Weather Service put this warning up. That is the one we're watching. That's the one that's just cruising right into Portsmouth now. Maybe some winds upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour. A very similar case in Norfolk now. It's going to eventually work in. Shore Drive, you're doing okay with just some rain around, maybe some heavy rain at times, but moving into Bayview, that's coming down pretty good, and the wind's going to pick up soon. So what we put a timestamp on is the potential for winds upwards of 50, 60 miles an hour. That's when the threat of damaging wind could arrive for folks out towards, say, the oceanfront in Virginia Beach. That's about 3 o'clock or so. Along 264, we're looking closer to maybe about 255 or so. Kempsville, 252. Similar case with Acreville and Great Bridge, closer to about 3 o'clock or so. So again, that's that one line we're watching there. That's why the National Weather Service has issued this severe thunderstorm warning. That's why they put the warning up for winds upwards of 60 miles an hour. That's what's capable of producing that damaging wind. Now, I want to go back up to the eastern shore because you are also included in this severe thunderstorm warning. It's parts of parts of Northampton in Virginia, up near Cape Charles, Eastville as well, where it is pouring right now. Good news is not a lot of lightning, so the thunderstorm isn't necessarily strengthening, but we're going to keep this severe thunderstorm alive, this warning alive, for the next 15-ish minutes or so. This goes for Cape Charles. We're getting, again, winds out of this, maybe 50, 60 miles an hour. Well, let's see what our velocity here is showing. Our velocity is, it picks up, it's a form of the radar that picks up how fast the raindrops are moving around. It's pretty cool. It also picks up how fast the direction the raindrops are moving around. So we could use that, a good idea to see potential wind speeds and things like that. Not seeing too much in the way of any rotation. That's good as well. A lot of folks on Facebook Live earlier were wondering to see if there was a threat for any tornadic activity or any rotation. A way to see that on velocity is to see a difference between colors. Green on velocity shows the rain moving towards the radar. Red shows it moving away from the radar. We are not seeing any blips or any sort of differences in colors within this severe thunderstorm warning that would indicate to us that there's rotation. So rotation, not completely out of the picture, but almost there. I do not see a tornadic threat with this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, it's just those straight line winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour, which could produce some damage to some trees, bringing some power lines down, things like that. So we'll stay on this for the next, it's only 13 more minutes, so we'll hang tight with you guys. I'll put another little storm track on it. The severe thunderstorm warning, or severe thunderstorm, is settling down, is starting to move out of areas of Hampton here and parts of Newport News. The rain is still heavy. There's a little bit of lightning, but the most dangerous part of the storm is what we were talking about, is right here, is this leading edge, which is now kind of crossing the Chesapeake Bridge Bay Tunnel there, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel there, moving into Norfolk, kind of right along Shore Drive, soon into 264 and around 64, and kind of into Portsmouth. So if you're up near Hampton, you're up near Newport News, you're still under the severe thunderstorm warning, but I think the strongest part of this thunderstorm is moving out from you, so that's some good stuff. Also, Poquoson, rest parts of the peninsula, kind of closer to Newport News and York County, things are improving, so that's good as well. But for folks in Norfolk and Portsmouth, you're kind of in the worst of it right now. A little bit of lightning in Virginia Beach out towards the ocean front, and that's because we haven't seen the cooler air yet. So this thunderstorm right here, yes, it's pouring around 264, the ocean front, it's raining, Lansdowne getting soaked right now. This is not what is causing the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, it's this leading edge right here that is kind of cruising right on in to northern parts of Virginia Beach. So I'll put a little storm track on it one more time, get a better idea. This thing's moving fast. It's moving at about 45 miles an hour. So here you go, just for some rough times where you go. Again, Kempsville closer to 255, Bayside around in a couple minutes. Right on you in Bayside. Boulevard Manor, 253-ish or so, 255 Kempsville. Bellany Manor, 256, 258 p.m. Birchwood Gardens, Kings Grant closer to 3. Allentown closer to 3:01, Lansdowne closer to 3 o'clock, Atlantic Park closer to 3 o'clock. That's the ocean front as well. Even though it's raining on you right now, you get some thunderstormy action with some lightning. The reason we're talking about a severe thunderstorm warning is that leading edge of that cooler air coming in, which is right in Norfolk right now. It's kind of approaching the 264 and the 64 interchange. That's what we're going to watch. That's going to be the leading edge of this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning going to 3 p.m. It does include parts of the Eastern Shore. It does include parts of Northampton. This still is extended to 3 o'clock, so in the next 10 minutes or so, parts of the Eastern Shore, Cape Charles, Eastview, just getting slammed with this rain. It's moving fast, though. The storm is moving at about 45 miles an hour, so the worst of the weather for the Eastern Shore. Let's actually go on the back side of the storm and put a storm track on it. So for Capeville, Cheriton, around 3 o'clock is likely when most of the most dangerous part of this thunderstorm will be coming to an end. So around 3 o'clock, that's kind of our time. In the next 10 minutes or so, that's when things likely will be improving for us. Now, another thing that we wanted to talk about, we mentioned a little bit earlier, is the threat of some flooding. The only spot we've seen some flooding right now is in parts of Newport News, way north Newport News, kind of right when the Newport News butts up against James City County. Parts of James City County is city of Williamsburg, and then parts of York, Virginia, right? That's where this aerial flood advisory is. This is basically a step below a flash flood warning. This is not quite up to that level, but this is just the way the National Weather Service is saying, hey, a lot of rain is falling. There's going to be a little bit more rain falling, if not a lot more rain falling. There's going to be some water standing on the roadways. Low-lying areas are going to see some water build up. Essentially just some really, really, really big puddles. But again, if you're driving around and you see some flooded roadways, do not drive through them. Steer clear of that. The phrase is turn around, don't drown, and we mean it. 6 inches of water. All it takes is really a couple inches of water on the road to cause some issues. So aerial flood advisory, that's up towards Williamsburg, but the main threat why we're interrupting programming right now to cut in is just to talk about the severe thunderstorm warning, which again is going to go for the next, let's say, 8 minutes or so. They continued it to 3 p.m. Let's see. Yep, still to 3 p.m. Haven't seen any additional reports of damage, which is good. What we have seen from this one severe thunderstorm warning and this thunderstorm, there have been reports of trees down in parts of the peninsula, parts of Hampton, I believe. Let's see. Oh, no, pardon that. Yorktown up in York County saw some trees come down with this thunderstorm. So, there could be some damage with this, and we just want to give you guys the heads up. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning, that's this orange box here. I don't even want to call it a box. We'll call it a polygon because it's awkward in shape. But really, it's for entirety of Portsmouth, Norfolk, northern parts of Virginia Beach. So I think pretty much from Oceana northwards is where you're included in this in Virginia Beach. Right around Oceana, Dam Neck northward through the oceanfront 264 up towards Shore Drive, you're included in that. Southern Chesapeake, out near the Great Dismal Swamp, you're not in this warning. Again, the warning for Chesapeake is really just the far northern parts of the city of Chesapeake. Greenbrier, you're included in that. But even if you just drive down Battlefield Boulevard and go a little bit further south, you're making your way out of this warning. So again, the leading edge of this storm is what is causing the potential for damaging wind. That leading edge is now crossing the 264 and 64 interchange, kind of entering, it's kind of on 464 now and the 64 interchange. The leading edge where the winds may be upwards of 60 miles an hour are soon to be exiting Norfolk, but now soon to be entering Virginia Beach, and will do so for the next 10 minutes or so. So that storm track is now going to take us from that 264-64 interchange to the roughly moving to the east-southeast at about 45 miles an hour. But our timestamps still have remained pretty much the same. Bayside around 2:56, a couple minutes. Kempsville, very similar as well, closer to about 2:55, 2:60, 2:56. 3 o'clock out towards Birchwood Gardens, 3:03 Lansdowne, Virginia Beach and the oceanfront, maybe a little bit later now as this thing may be slowing down. We're looking at that leading edge of potentially some damaging wind reaching the oceanfront around 3 o'clock or so, 3:05-ish. Dam Neck corner out towards Oceana, 3:09, 3:10, and then Sandbridge Beach further down to the south and east, closer to about 3:15 or so. But I do believe Sandbridge Beach is not included in this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is going to 3 o'clock, so we're just going to hang with you for the next 5 minutes or so before this thing drops off. We talked about the impacts from our cold front today pretty much being the shot for some winds over 40 miles an hour, which we're seeing right now, no doubt. That's what we're dealing with, why we're cutting into your programming. But really the flooding was our thought to be the main concern because we're getting a lot of rain with this. And, we got soaked over days past, so we're dealing with, soaked grounds having a tough time draining. We're seeing that with the aerial flood warning that's all the way up to parts of Williamsburg and parts of York and Newport News up and down kind of 264 here. That's that aerial flood advisory. I don't think we'll get any more than 2 inches. The rain is actually starting to settle down here and actually start to end a little bit further north, so that's good as well. The amount of rain we picked up in spots has been rather impressive, arguably more than we picked up from a tropical storm, which was here yesterday morning when Tropical Storm Claudette moved by. These pockets of yellows and orange here, that's maybe rain upwards of 1 to 2 inches, maybe more than that. This is radar indicated, so this isn't, confirmed from picking it up on the ground, but nonetheless, it's a whole lot of rain, and on soaked grounds, it means business as well. So again, right till we get to about 4 o'clock, that's when our rain chances really are going to get cut off, and this stuff is going to move offshore. So we're really close to that 3 o'clock time frame, and that's pretty much what we got right now on Future Track and the radar, matching pretty well. The heaviest of this will soon to be offshore. We just got to wait till we get to about 4 or 5 o'clock. After we get to that 3 o'clock hour, though, we do hope and do expect the National Weather Service to drop that severe thunderstorm warning. They haven't had any indication of extending it beyond the 3 o'clock time frame. Now, as we go to about 5 o'clock, there will still be some downpours around, especially for the northern Outer Banks and northeastern North Carolina, where it hasn't rained all that much for the day today. That'll likely be closer to about 6 or 7, and then we'll see this stuff all move offshore tonight, and then really that northerly breeze kicks in, and things looking pretty good for the day tomorrow and Thursday. Lower humidity, sunshine comes in, looks pretty good post-cold front. We're just got to deal with this rain and deal with this nasty weather. What we're dealing with now with the severe thunderstorm warning, yes, it is isolated. It's the one warning out there, but it is covering a good portion of us with the wind gusts. They're easily over 40 miles an hour. The reason we went severe is the wind gusts are potentially upwards of 60 miles an hour with that severe thunderstorm warning. Not expecting hail. The tornadic threat is very limited as well. We just showed you a little bit of that rotation, and there isn't much. We showed you that on the velocity, so we're not expecting anything to really rotate or spin up. But the flooding, with the amount of rain that has picked up in spots, will be a bit of an issue as we head through the next couple of hours. We'll watch for some low-lying areas. You'll see a lot of the water build up on the road, so just careful driving around and careful just doing any sort of errands or anything like that over the next couple of hours this afternoon. Don't want you guys driving around or anything like that. Really, the spot to be right now is inside, away from the windows, and away from anything, away from the outside, pretty much. We don't want you guys getting caught up in the what's nasty out there now. Taking a look at Croatan Beach right now, a lot of the rain coming down, the wind's still blowing offshore, little sets coming in, but the rain is now starting to work into that Virginia Beach oceanfront area. The severe thunderstorm warning, again, is going to go for the next 2 minutes or so to 3 o'clock. The lightning is getting cut off now that the cooler air is kind of coming in from the north. It's kind of cutting off any sort of additional instability, so we're not seeing this thunderstorm strengthen by any means, but it's still capable of producing wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. That's why they put a severe thunderstorm warning on this. Again, it goes to 3 o'clock. I haven't seen any indication or confirmation from the National Weather Service of any additional damage. We did have some damage reports come in from Yorktown up in York County of a few trees down along Ballard Street. So, you know, with a thunderstorm like this, I mean, and wind gusts upwards of 50, 60, that's easily a possibility. We're talking about maybe some trees coming down or maybe some power lines coming down as well. So we're going to hang tight with you. I mean, in the next couple of minutes, they may drop this warning, but if not, we'll hang with you guys. The leading edge of this is now kind of a little bit falling apart, but it's pouring now along 264 in Virginia Beach. Portsmouth, things still looking pretty nasty out there, and for Norfolk as well. For folks in Hampton, it's settling down, and it is slowly coming to an end. You're just going to be left with some residual rain behind the thunderstorm. And then out towards the eastern shore, southern parts of Northampton there, that's Cape Charles, Eastville, things are slowly improving. Still dealing with some moderate to heavy rain at times, but I haven't seen any reports of some wind being very nasty out there as well. So I think we're doing all right as of now, and we'll keep you posted if anything changes. But again, the severe thunderstorm warning is going to be with you through about 3 o'clock. There we go. The National Weather Service has just dropped it after 3. If anything else pops up, we'll be sure to keep you posted. But we are really anticipating this cold front to really just march through the area over the next couple of hours. Now, behind the leading edge of it, of course, is just some steadier light rain. Not all that bad. No lightning behind it. It's kind of cooler as well. So that's what we really can anticipate for the evening commute. 5, 6 o'clock before things settle down. The next spot we'll watch is for northeastern North Carolina. There's a lot of untapped air down here. Some of those downpours may pack a punch. So if anything changes, we'll be sure to hop back on and keep you posted through the rest of the afternoon. Of course, everything is up over on wavy.com.